Side Story 1. I am called Dao Huai, for that is my given name. My title is also Dao Huai, meaning saber heart. It means that I will always carry the blade. My parents gave me this name because I was born embracing a divine saber. I trained with the blade at 1 year old and had some accomplishments at 8. I began to test my Dao at 15 and was able to become a god at 30. Despite that, I was already referred to as the saber god when I was 10. I didn't truly become one, of course, till I was 30. In this world, people have always claimed to be saber god, but in my eyes, they were all just kids playing with their toy sabers. The saber is my weapon as well as my best friend. Most importantly, it is my life. Even though I was more than 300 years old after becoming Immortal Emperor. But this was not my proudest achievement compared to becoming the saber god. It was my lifelong pursuit. Immortal Emperor was only something I obtained after entering the Dao with my saber. The world says that an Immortal Emperor was the apex of the Grand Dao, but in my eyes, the Dao of the saber is limitless. It has its own life, prettier than any beauties in this world. Even though I was also known as the wife of the most beautiful woman in the 9 worlds, I am still not as pretty as the blade in my hand. In my life, if I could solve something with one slash, a second one would never need to come out. But I don't know why the inhabitants of this world only remember me as an Immortal Emperor but not my invincible saber Dao. Perhaps it is because I came from the Thousand Emperors Gate as its second emperor. People recorded my royal achievement but not my unstoppable Dao. I am Immortal Emperor Dao Huai, born with the blade, with it in my hands. I have nothing to fear in this world. I would even fight against the venerable Immortal Emperor How High as long as my blade is by my side. But my blade was taken away by my wife tonight. This is why I'm here chatting with everyone. Oh, I also forgot something important. This Immortal Emperor. No. This saber god is the second prettiest beauty in the 9 worlds, but the truth is that I still think him prettier than my #1 wife. Ha ha. I am just kidding. How could a pretty and gifted female Immortal Emperor like me have a wife? But I do have one bastard instead. Yes. It is that bastard who is always hiding. One day, I will deal with him. The moon is quite round tonight. I wonder if that bastard is pretending to be a little girl again, a little swindling girl who says, "Hey, you and I are connected by fate." Emperor Side Story 2. The peerlessly vulgar Immortal Emperor Fei Yang. Prime Ominous Grave. Divine Dragon Mountain. This was a place full of destiny stones. They were extremely precious and highly sought after by countless geniuses and experts. At the peak of this mountain was a particular immortal stone. It was really the king of destiny stones, the natural-born ancestor of its kind. There was not a second destiny stone comparable to it in this world, because this was one of the earliest metals since the inception of the universe. Many wise sages and prodigies have vied for it to no avail. During the beginning of the Desolate Era, a man drifted closer while shouldering both a bronze sword and the heaven on his back. Primordial chaos and the early laws floated around him. He was the rising sun at the start of this world, the bringer of an entirely new age. This was Immortal Emperor Ji Chun, the first emperor of the 9 worlds, the person who started the heavens will epoch. He walked to the summit the Divine Dragon Mountain and gazed at the primal metal. He became quite happy and sat down to gently pat it. His words were the eternal universal laws. "Fellow Daoist, will you follow me?" The primal stone was quiet and didn't make a sound. The emperor did not force it after seeing the lack of response. He said, "Very well. You and I are not meant to be. Keep on waiting for the fateful person then." With that, He stepped into the sky and disappeared towards the horizon. The 100 races began to rise during the early Desolate era, with one emperor appearing after another. In this generation, Immortal Emperor Fei has shouldered the heavens will to ascend to the throne. Today, he visited the divine dragon mountain. His arrival was accompanied by the immortals and goddesses. Auspicious images emerged in the sky with peaceful laws. This was a prosperous era. He looked at the primal stone before shaking it with his hand. He wanted to forcefully take it away, but despite the fact that he could shake the 9 worlds, he was unable to take this stone away. He ceased his effort and said, "The price for a forceful taking is too large. The gains do not make up for the losses." With that, he crossed the myriad realms with the Grand Tao without any regrets. The goddesses followed him as well. 2. Nearing the end of the Desolate era with myriad laws circulating, Immortal Emperor Fei Yang carried the heaven's will. The 9 worlds trembled in fear. Even the burial grounds and ancestral earths got a headache because of him. Today, the emperor flew to the divine dragon mountain, unaccompanied by laws or imperial auras. The leisure and carefree emperor wore a hemp garment with a smile on both his face and in his eyes. He sat down next to the primal ore and gently rubbed as if he was touching a lover. He smiled happily to say, "Baby, my baby, how about going with me? Come with your young master. If you are a boy, then I will give you nice clothes and good food. If you are a girl, this young master's technique is number 1 and you will die from the pleasure." The emperor didn't hold back with his teasing. If he wasn't unbeatable in this world, no one would believe that he was actually an immortal emperor. There was no reaction from the primal stone after a while either. The emperor didn't become angry. He touched the stone again with both hands like a scoundrel while chortling. "My baby, if I become your master, you will have endless benefits. I, Fei Yang, am the number 1 in the 9 worlds. Gifted in both literature and martial arts. With my sky-high armament, I can fight against the myriad tribes and sects. If I take it off, I can deal with 6,000 goddesses. What do you think?" There was still no reaction from the stone. "If you won't follow me, then I will have to punish you." He smiled and took out a divine brush. He refined the laws and polished the Tao. His stroke encompassed the yin and yang as well as the 6 Tao and the reincarnation cycle. In the blink of an eye, he drew an ugly girl on top of the primal ore before laughing and being quite pleased with himself. He then put away his brush and slowly walked away. After he left, whenever the full moon came, an ugly girl would appear from the stone and kissed it while whispering coquettishly, "I'll always think of you. Come with me. Love." It wasn't until the end of Immortal Emperor Fei Yang's generation did the seal with the ugly girl left by him on the primal or slowly dissipated away. Emperor's era. Immortal Emperor Hao Hai arrived. He stepped forward while being protected by the deities. The 9 worlds were opened with heavenly images. True dragons and immortal phoenixes were present, painting quite a majestic scene. 4. The emperor looked at the stone and said, "Throughout my whole life, I believe that I can catch up to Jiaoheng and Fei. It seems that I still have a long way to go. What a supreme immortal stone. Unfortunately, I can't seize it." Having said that, he then left. Emperor's era. The human race was quite prosperous during this time. The moment Emperor Hongtian came out, the myriad worlds turned dark and the heaven became suppressed. She traveled through the 9 worlds and the myriad realms. As she walked in these lands, she remembered the past and reflected on old errors. This was not her first time to Divine Dragon Mountain. Before, a dark crow has led her to this place to pick a destiny stone. Alas! She was alone today. as she looked at the primal stone. His voice echoed in her head. This immortal stone right here. Wait until you become immortal emperor, then you can probably take it away. It is simply unique. Not weakened by the 10th world. With it in your possession, you will be a tiger with wings up there in the future. The voice seemed so close, yet she was by her lonesome. After gazing at the stone for a long time, she said softly eventually, "We can meet again in the 10th world. Only he in this world will be able to bring you there." With that, she left quietly with a sad expression. As time passed, one generation of immortal emperor came after another. But the primal ore still towered on top of the divine dragon mountain just like before. Side History 3. The Crow in the Rainy Night 1. Yi Yunju watched the sparse rain showering the night with both hands propping up his chin. He was surprisingly mature for a 12-year-old boy, even though his face still had a youthful innocence. His forehead showed signs of a seasoned maturity. The boy was born in a very small village consisting of only several dozen families. His ancestors have all been good-natured farmers in this village. He was lost in thoughts while gazing at the cold rain that helps him forget about the past. Upon his birth was also the death of his mother, while his father succumbed to the toil of life when he was 8. Fortunately, he had 3 decent farm plots on top of the occasional assistance from his neighbors. This allowed him to barely have clothes and a full stomach. This was the age of dreams and fantasy. Despite making just enough to eat, he still had his own dreams during this rain watch. He dreamed of the day when he could become an immortal, freed from sadness and worries, dressed with golden robes and satiated with wondrous meals. A life of freedom while soaring through the heaven and earth. He has heard the adults talk about immortals before. 100 miles away from the village was a divine mountain with a sect called Southern Creek. Within were immortals capable of doing all the things he yearned about. His eyes lit up whenever he thought about them with an unquenchable ambition for cultivation. This was because 2 days ago, an amazing immortal came to Wu Qi's house. He rode the clouds and trod on the winds, then descended from the sky. After his visit, he took Wu Qi in as a disciple. This immortal was called the Purpine Ancient Saint, a big character from a faraway immortal sect. Wu Qi grew up together with Yi Yunju. They were extremely close, so Yunju was very happy for Wu Qi. A chilling breeze blew by, causing Yunju to shudder. He calmed down and looked up to see that the roof of his house was leaking water. He had to slightly shift to the side when his father was still around. His house had 2 rooms and 1 hallway, but 1 room has collapsed now, leaving behind his own leaky room. His belly rumbled. It was another night of hunger as the boy reached into his dried food pouch. There was not much left, so he had to swallow his saliva and endure this hunger to save it. When the rain ended, he could go find other food. Boom! Suddenly, a dark shadow rushed in through the window. It was a dark crow that decided to land on the string by his bed. The crow shook its body, causing water to spray everywhere. Yunju had to dodge and couldn't do anything about the little bird. It has been staying at his place for several days now with no fear of strangers. It nonchalantly treated this place as its home. After coming inside, the crow didn't bother looking at Yunju at all. It lowered its head into its feathers and seemed to be sleeping. "You couldn't find any food outside?" the boy asked softly. He has grown familiar with this intruder taking his room for its own and felt that this was how it should be. In the morning, the crow would leave and didn't return until now. Yunju actually thought that it wasn't coming back. The crow had no reaction and ignored the boy completely without moving its body. After seeing the crow's dispirited appearance, he reached into his dried food pouch and salivated. After a moment of hesitation, he still took some food out and placed it before the crow to say, "Eat this if you are hungry. I still have some left." The crow still buried its head in its feathers and didn't care for the boy. He was surprised for a bit and felt that it was quite funny. Why was he trying to talk to a crow that wouldn't understand him in the first place? I forgot. How can you know what I'm saying? You're just a crow. He smiled wryly and scratched his head. But the crowd suddenly lifted its head and stared coldly at him. His smile froze after seeing this peering gaze. This crow seemed to be able to understand him. He found it inconceivable, like in a dream. A crow capable of understanding humans. No one would ever believe this. After a while, he showed the food on his palm again and said, Do you want to eat? He wasn't certain of his hunch. However, the crow ignored him and resumed the resting position inside its feathers. He felt as if he saw a look of contempt in the crow, as if it was high and mighty and wouldn't stoop down to eat his dried ration. I must be dreaming. He pinched his face and murmured. After being scorned by the crow, he went back to his spot and sat down with both hands hugging his knees while staring at the crow. What kind of crow was this? Could it really understand humans, or was it just his illusion? In this short period, the boy let his imagination run wild. Side History 4. Mysterious Emperor Departure. Brightness blossomed from the horizon. The night rain has stopped to usher in a fresh morning. Yunju woke up from a restless night. After washing his face, it was time to go out and find something to eat. Yunju! Yunju! A loud voice interrupted him. It carried a youthful hint still. A young man rushed in from the outside. Even though they seemed to be close in age, this youth was much more muscular and taller than usual. He looked very strong already. Little Chi. Yunju smiled with great excitement after seeing this youth. Wu Chi was a childhood friend. The two grew up together, so their friendship was great. Despite not being blood-related, they were even closer than real brothers. Yo! I brought you some food. Wu Chi quickly took out some steaming buns from his robe and handed them over to Yunju. Yuzhuan felt warm inside after accepting the hot buns. Wu Chi has always brought him food. Well, not just him. Many seniors in the village have always been nice to him. The two of them stood by the door and ate the hot buns one by one, but Wu Chi seemed a bit distracted. What's wrong? Yunju was a discerning person and he knew that something was up after seeing Wu Chi's demeanor. Wu Chi took another bite and replied with an unwilling expression. I want to leave with my master to a very faraway place. I don't know when we will return. For Wu Chi, it was not only being away from his playmate but also from the village he grew up in, as well as his parents. Yunju looked up and saw a daoist standing in the distance. He had a transcending style with sleeves fluttering in the wind just like an immortal. He has seen this daoist called the Unwavering Ancient Saint. He was an immortal who came from a distant land. It was told that his sect was incredible. Yunju didn't want Wu Chi to leave either, but he still smiled while sincerely feeling happy for his friend. He said, Come back often after you finish cultivating. This is a rare chance, so you have to do your best to become an amazing immortal. When you ride the clouds back here, you have to bring me to the sky to see other immortals as well. Yes. Yes. I will. Yun's house words dispersed some of Wu Chi's unwillingness. He scratched his head and said, Well, really? It would be so nice if you can come train with me so that we can both become immortals together. But, my master said your talents aren't enough, but I feel that you are much smarter than me. Like you read so fast while I have to spend half of a day to finish. Wu Chi's family was one of the best in the village, so his parents were able to send him to school. Yi Yunju, on the other hand, was too poor to do so and could only secretly watch outside of the window. The teacher didn't chase him away either, so he still learned a lot of things. Well, cultivation doesn't rely on reading. You are taller than me and stronger too. So you will definitely be amazing after some cultivation. Yunju smiled. You must come back and make the village proud. I'll be waiting. In fact, after meeting the unwavering ancient saint, Wu Qi begged his master to take Yunju as a disciple as well. Alas! Unwavering found Yun's house talents to be lacking and refused his disciples' beseech. Wu Qi wanted to talk more, but he was too young to know how to express himself and alleviate the bitter feeling in his heart. They grew up together and aspired to become immortals that could soar in the sky. This was a pact between them. But now, he was being taken away by his master to a distant place while Yunju had to stay back in the village. Wait a bit. Wu Qi told Yunju and ran towards Unwavering. The two of them talked and Yunju was too far away to hear them. After a while, Wu Qi came back and handed an emblem to Yunju and said, "My master said that there is an immortal gate not far from us. Southern Creek School. They are actually recruiting right now, so you can go take a look. Take my master's token and they will definitely take you in as a disciple." Yunju accepted it and took a look. This was a badge with the word Unwavering carved on it. He felt warm and emotional afterward and didn't know what to say. "I will definitely go. Just wait. After we become cultivators, we will fly across the 9 continents and 4 oceans together." Yunju felt his nose burning up as he was holding his tears in. "Yes. We will definitely journey through the lands together," Wu Qi said with great excitement. The two were so young yet their aspiration was already so magnificent. Side Story 5. An eaves tile. "Brother, I must go now," Wu Qi solemnly said. Yi Yunju gave him a tight hug in response. "Go. After you are done learning, we'll journey to see the world together." "Yes." Wu Qi resoundingly agreed with a loud laughter. True to his honest temperament, Wu Qi turned away in order to leave. But he immediately turned back and slipped a few silver coins and a jade medallion to Yunju. "Travel expenses for your trip." No. I can take this." Yunju was startled. The coins were one thing, but this medallion was a token of good luck that Wu Qi kept with him since youth. It was very important to him. Yunju quickly put the coins and medallion back to Wu Qi's hand, but Wu Qi immediately grabbed his hand and glared his eyes. "You and me. We don't need to be like this. Keep it as a memento. But if you feel bad, give me something back too." Yunju scratched his head and helplessly said, "I can't be any poorer. There's nothing valuable here, so what can I give you as a memento?" Yunju couldn't come up with something suitable to give Wu Qi. He only had 3 to 5 pieces of clothing that were presentable. Other items were completely worthless. At this time, Wu Qi jumped up and took an eaves tile from Yun's house roof and smiled. "Then give me this roof tile as a memento." "Wait. This broken tile is worthless." Yunju smiled wryly. He knew that Wu Qi was doing this for his sake. "You can't say that." Wu Qi replied seriously. "Your house leaks water all the time, so this single tile can shield you from wind and rain. Think about it. Just how important is this tile to you and your house? So when you give me it, just remember how precious and valuable it is as a treasure." Wu Qi's exaggeration left Yunju feeling warm with his eyes becoming moist. He held Wu Qi's wrists tightly and said, "When you look at this tile later, it is the same as seeing me." 1. This common Chinese expression can be weird if translated literally like this. But I think the point comes across just fine. A modification could have been "think of me when you look at this tile." Of course. Wu Qi smiled and gave Li Qi'er a hug. "Goodbye, brother." With that, he left with his master. 2. Ha. This isn't a mistake by me. The author typed Lee Chia instead of Yi Yoon-ju in this sentence. Yoon-ju waved goodbye towards that direction and didn't look away until they have disappeared completely. He stood there in a daze for a while. When you look at this tile later, it is the same as seeing me. This was spoken from his heart earlier. Such simple words carried an incredible prestige later on, when he swept through the 9 heavens and 10 earth to become the master of the 9 worlds. Seeing this tile piece was the same as seeing an immortal emperor. It contained a boundless imperial aura. After a long time, he calmed down and looked at the badge given to him by Unwavering. He then glanced at the horizon and took a deep breath. Yes. He must go to the Southern Creek School to learn. He must gain the ability to devour rivers and spew out mists. The capability to soar to the sky. Only with that would he be able to roam freely like an immortal in order to see just how vast the world was. His heart was determined to find a teacher in order to learn, even though he didn't know what cultivation and cultivators were. But he had a strong desire to see the outside world. A seed of Tao sprouted in his heart. After confirming his thoughts, he immediately went into the room to pack up. The truth was that he didn't have to clean up too much. Only his few articles of clothings. Of course, there was his pouch of dried rations as well. He firmly tied it to his waist. It was all the food he had for the journey, so he definitely couldn't afford to lose it. After this preparation, he was getting to leave. However, he thought of the crow that has been staying in his bedroom and wanted to say goodbye. Alas! It was nowhere to be found when he came inside. Yoon-ju smiled wryly. How could a crow say goodbye to a person like him? He shook his head and discarded the silly thoughts and left the small village to begin his journey. Not long after his departure, a little sound came about as a crow landed on his shoulder. It had a nonchalant appearance and immediately buried its head into its feathered wings. Yoon-ju was pleasantly surprised to see the crow. He said, "It's you. I thought you have went away already. Where do you want to go?" "I am on my way to study the art at the Southern Creek School. In a distant mountain. A woman has been watching Yi Yoon-ju the whole time during his trip. She wore a white dress decorated with a phoenix embroidery. Her features were kingdom-toppling with a very beautiful maid serving by her side. This peerless beauty has been watching him the whole time, carefully observing all of his actions.